Yes, look at this. This is not good. We should not be accessing the position of our objects through the sprite module you see here. No, this is not good. So let's see what we can do about that. We sort of hinted at this when we created our entity manager. Really, and I believe I'd said that this isn't exactly an entity, what you would call a classical entity manager, yes. But this could be useful for us. So let's create an entity class, and we'll have components that we can add to it. I know some of you have been waiting for this for a long time, and it's coming. As a matter of fact, it's here. We're going to do that today. But we're going to do it a little... I've had some ideas about this. So I'm going to create an entity Lua module. I'm going to go in here and copy these items. And we'll get rid of, we'll call this entity. Remember, we're just using some boilerplate crud here. E for entity. We'll do function e new. We may not use it, but we'll have it here just in case. Return our entity object so that we can create new entities from it. And in reality, really, the things that we want to be able to do, we want to do the same kinds of things here with our components as that entity manager is doing with the entities. We may change the entity manager too. We'll see. But what we want to do is we want to have a table slash an array, really, of components. And we'll have that empty. And so instead, let's go down here and draw. So each component from our components table, we will try to draw it if it's enabled and if it has a draw method. We'll draw it. Pretty simple. I'm just replacing entities with components at this point. And we're going to do update. So we're going to update our components, and then if the component requests removal, then do that. So, and then otherwise, if the component is enabled, and update it. So we get a start, just like we did with the entity manager. So we're basically doing that same pattern. Thus, when a component comes in, and if it hasn't been started, then it gets this on start. And then we do update. And we can actually do this just to make sure that we want to actually update it. We'll also need we'll need this add function. We'll change it to, we'll conform it to our needs. So if, let's change these to components, component. And instead of layer, let's say priority. Priority. So sounds nice, doesn't it? It sounds like Captain Picard should say that. Yes, number one. Make it a priority. So we're going to make it a priority too. Priority. Add additional table entries that we want to exist for all components. And we may not do this. You see, we're adding these, remember? Maybe we should, well, I'll leave those for here, for now, for here. And we sort the entities. Yeah, we don't. There's no to do. We've already doing that. So let's actually come over here and say, no more to do. We're sorting the entities as we desire. Oh, and we need that layer compare. Where did that go? Right here. So instead of layer compare, let's call it priority compare. And then we'll put it up here. Priority. And priority. Okay, so this let's sort our priority, because priorities are important. There we are. Okay. I'm making this up as I go along. Just thought I'd let you know. Something else we want to do. I'm not even sure if this will work. And I'm really honestly not sure how much this costs and how much this costs, but we're going to do it for now. When we add a component, let's do something interesting here. I want to see if this will work. We have our classes, and we have this class name. What is that? Class name. Derived class type. So we got type. Let's use that. So what we'll do is we'll say sort the entities. Yeah, so add the entity. Add the component. Sort component. Then if component dot type, so if there is a type specification and component dot type yeah, I want type. We want to check the type of this real quick, and we want it to be a string. Then we're going to just attach it to ourselves. So we'll say self. So we're gonna add it to our self table, and that way it's a lot easier to access. Hopefully that makes sense. See if I can't explain that. We have a component. We'll also need to do that down here. If we remove it, and let's change this E to a C because we're a component now. Not really a simple way to do that, is there? No. Actually, but let's do a find and replace. Let's say that's just that. Yeah, that'll work, won't it? And let's say component. Replace them all. Just in here, right? Yeah. Not that one. There we go. So we'll replace all those. There we go. That's more clear. Component dot remove, and then this will work, and then we'll say component of component type equals nil. Yeah, so that will remove that from our from ourselves if that needs to be done. And really, what we should do instead is, oh, and we need to change these also, don't we? We might have a remove from the component, and let's say also let's add to the component. Let's add here. Let's add ourselves to the component. Component dot entity. So its parent entity basically equals this. We may want to use that. Let the component know who its parent is. And we'll also want to remove that when we remove the component from list here. And I'm just thinking maybe instead of this, maybe we want to have a function remove component. That. Give me just a second. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that instead. Let's say this. And where's our contains? Did I make that one up too? I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did. No, I did. Look at this. Oh, there it is. We're going to need this in another place. Let's put this into our utilities. Utilities is where we put all things that we don't know where else to put. Contains. Let's do it that way. And we'll this returns true if the given item is contained in the wing. And let's do this. Let's say list the table in which to search for the item. The item for which to search. Brilliant! So now we don't have to have that in here anymore. We'll just need to do the following and say utils. And we'll do u like this. And then we'll say, where was that? Right here. u.contains. And now we can use this over in our entity class. So yeah, right here. And then we need to also do the following, which is we did earlier just a minute ago. Utils like that. So if, let's say if it doesn't contain it, then just return, right? So if the component isn't in this entity, don't even bother. We don't care. Otherwise, you know what we should do? True, we are looping through this thing. Let's change this. Let's make this. You've probably heard this before, ladies and gentlemen. That's index of. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. So it returns the index of the into the list to the list where the item is located. If item is not found, it -1 is returned. This will work better for our purposes. So we need I pairs. That's what we need. I'm going to go look up I pairs so I'll remember exactly how to do it. Okay. So we just simply do this. So we do that. I is the integer, and val is the value in I pairs of list. And we'll do it. So if val equals item, then return I. Otherwise, we return -1. Yeah. That will let us delete these things a lot easier than this one will. I'll leave this one here. Why? I don't know. We may never use it. I'll leave it, though. I'll leave it. But we're going to use this. As a matter of fact, entity manager is fine here because we're just asking if we contain it. But our entity, we want to know. So let's do this. I equals index of entity. Then we can do our if I equals -1, then return end. Otherwise, we can remove it just like that. That's going to be nice. Self the component on remove. On remove. Okay, so we'll do. Grab that stuff right there. Put that here. And we need to adjust a little bit of this. Okay. So let's look here. There's our component. So if component on remove, if it has an on remove event, let's go ahead and comment this a little bit. If the component has an on remove event, call it, and then remove it. Maybe we should remove it first. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter right now. And then check if the component has a type property of type string. If so, remove it from this entity. Getting all fancy, aren't we? So that'll do our removals. So that way we don't have to do this here. And then let's just do this. Yeah, that's much better. Let's run it and see what kind of errors we get. We didn't get any errors. Oh, I love it. We haven't run any of that code, so except for the entity manager, which we have run. So we have a couple of things here. We have a priority. Let's go ahead and comment some of this stuff. Priority. Higher priority. Components will be updated / drawn for lower priority one. And the component started. Let's see. Oh, and let's see. Should we? No, we won't. We may not need any more complex interaction, but this will indicates if the on started function has been called on a component. And if a component is enabled, then it is drawn by a shut. And let's make sure that we are doing that here. Yes, we are. Good. Awesome. Beautiful. Some of our components, I'm thinking we won't require any type of update or drawing. Now we have this entity manager. Let's boink. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Let's come in here to the player. Not the entity manager, but we have an entity. We have this entity that contains components. So how would we... Let's do this. Let's add some components. Let's add a component. First, let's add a new folder. And let's make a new file, and let's call this transform. Yes, we're going to add a transform component. At least we're going to test it. We're going to test this and see if it works. So here we'll call it transform. And really what we could do, well, let's explore this here. Say T, earn T, and then we'll say function T new. This is where we're gonna, so we got self.position equals vector2, and let's say x comma y, so we'll say vector2 x or 0 y or 0. That way we can have a position, and we'll probably have a rotation here too. Let's go ahead and just add that self.rotation equals rotation or 0. So we'll put here. So this has all the pieces and parts of a self.enabled equals true self dot, and we're going to just say where was it? We're going to automatically here just say, hey, look, we've already been started, okay? Because we don't need a start function, and we're just going to, you know, we don't have to do this. Really, don't even need to do this, but I'm going to just do it anyway. And I'm just going to let this thing assign the enabled. So what I want to do just for a test is let's come in here through the new, and let's require not here in our library. Let's require entity going to be, and then transform is lib dot that's how we do it. Notice that I have a lowercase t here. We need to have uppercase t, such as this, and see if this bugs out here, because I've already, yes, entity 79. Oh, that's a new one, isn't it? 79 return E. What, really? End expected to close function at line 56. Oh, so we must have a, that's an end. There's an end, there's an end, there's an end, there's an end. Well, I must say, it's here somewhere, isn't it? Do you see it? If you see it, point. I'm kidding. It's right here. Right here. Let me check the entity manager real quickly, because we were doing it. Bring that over there. I want to make sure I get this right. Oh, okay, so it's else if. Right? Yes. My fault. Now, back to what we're going to do. Let's create a new entity. We'll just do local. And I don't think we had... Yep. Just a blank entity. And then we can say add transform. Let's say 100, 100, and no rotation. And I just want to see if that even works. Ah, yes. We didn't put in our requirement for a vector 2 here. Thank you very much. Run. Check it out. Contains entity.lua. Oh, did we? We must have missed that one. Yes, because we forgot to do dot. Forgive me. And another bad argument to iPairs. Expected table got nil. Let's see. Where is that? In function add. Here. Oh, of course. Yes. Components, not entities. And we've done this. Look at that. I missed those completely. Sorry. Very, very sorry for that. Very sorry. My apologies. And another one somewhere. Entities. That's not right. There we are. Oh, 29. Yeah. Ah, Lee. My fault, people. Sorry about that. There we go. Looks like it works. Oh, let's add it to... Let's do that too. Let's add the entity manager. Let's say self.em add this entity and see if that just screws things up big time. And it doesn't. Good. Wait. Gratification. So let's also do this, because we now should be able to access the transform, because remember, we're getting the name of the transform and we're adding it as a field to that entity itself. So we should be able to say transform.x. We should be able to print it. We won't see it, but it shouldn't. Good. It shouldn't do an error. Let's actually enable the debugging. Load her up, and we've got a bunch of other print statements. Let me go ahead and remove those from the missile where we were printing right here. I'm just going to comment that out because you never know. We'll just leave those. And let's... Oh, and something else we need to do. That is... We haven't called start on it yet, but we don't need to. Oh, it's dot position. It's my fault. I don't know if you caught it, but it was actually nil whenever we did it. That's because it's position.x, and we can change that, but let's see if this works. Chink, look at that, baby, it works. So we can access these things by their type name from our entity as we so desire, and that's great. And we can also should be able to say remove try this local t equals transform. So we'll add the transform here, then we'll remove it, and then we'll try to print it again, and probably will give us an error now since we've removed it. And it does. It says, oh yeah, here it is, and then it says, hey, attempt to index field transform a nil value. This is wonderful. We are getting somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. So in order to create an entity, all we need to do is these things right here, and then we can add that entity to our entity manager, and those can update and do whatever they need to do. So I think that's enough for this episode, and the next episode we'll look into how we might begin to change all of this around, do some refactoring, because the sprite, you know, we may just move him up and say he's going to be a component, and then he doesn't have an X and a Y, but he does have a width and a height. But he'll get the X and the Y from the transform. Oh, this is risky business, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm about to put this episode in the can. And if I go down the wrong path, you're going to see me go down the wrong path and come all the way back. Until next time.